Always right about it.
Top 100 Underrated PS2 Games of All Time. Hey everyone, welcome to another video. The PS2 was like a party where everyone was invited, but not everyone got noticed. Sure, the big names hogged the spotlight, but tucked away in that massive library were some absolute hidden gems that didn't get nearly enough love. These games brought the fun, the feels, and the how did I miss this moments that make gaming so special. Exploring the underrated side of the PS2 is like finding treasure in your old storage box. It's exciting, nostalgic, and totally worth it. If you're into wild adventures, clever puzzles, or just games that dared to be different, these overlooked titles remind us why the PS2 is still such a classic. Time to power it up and show those underrated games some overdue appreciation. Aggressive Inline 2002. Aggressive Inline's plot is simple. Players step into the shoes of a professional inline skater, exploring various vibrant environments while completing challenges and performing tricks. The game features 12 real-life pro skaters, each with their own starting stats, and players can unlock 7 additional quirky characters as they progress. The game employs an organic skill progression system that rewards players for using specific skills rather than accumulating points to purchase upgrades. For example, grinding more frequently will increase your grinding ability, making your skater more adept at executing tricks. The juice meter replaces traditional time limits, allowing players to skate freely until their energy runs out, which can be replenished by performing tricks or collecting juice boxes scattered throughout the levels. Players can unlock new sections by completing objectives or finding hidden keys, and the dynamic level design allows for environmental interactions, like knocking down structures that create new skating opportunities, making each session feel fresh and engaging. Despite its innovative mechanics and expansive design, Aggressive Inline often gets overshadowed by more popular titles like Tony Hawk's Pro Skater. Many players overlook its humor, creative challenges, and the sheer joy of discovering new tricks in sprawling environments. Aliens vs Predator Extinction 2003. This is a tactical real-time strategy game that takes players in the iconic Aliens vs Predator universe. Set on the hostile planet LV-742, players can choose to command one of 3 factions: the fearsome aliens, the technologically advanced predators, or the resourceful colonial marines. The gameplay revolves around unit management rather than traditional base building. Players must strategically deploy units, complete missions, and utilize each species' strengths. For instance, as Marines, you manage a diverse squad with roles like medics and comtechs, crucial for survival and mission success. The aliens excel in overwhelming numbers, with a life cycle that allows players to hatch new units from captured hosts. Meanwhile, predators rely on an honor system to unlock powerful units and can cloak for stealthy attacks, adding layers of strategy to their gameplay. Many players overlook its intricate mechanics and the depth of its faction dynamics due to its release during an era dominated by first-person shooters. The game's balance issues, where predators often feel overpowered, can detract from the experience, yet the unique challenges presented in alien missions offer rewarding gameplay that stands out from typical RTS titles. Alter Echo 2003. This next game is filled with bizarre creatures and advanced technology, where you play as Nevin, a young shaper who can manipulate a powerful substance called Echoplast. This allows him to morph into 3 distinct combat forms: sword, gun, and stealth. Each form has its own strengths and weaknesses, making strategic switching essential during battles against the biomechanical enemies spawned by the planet itself. The plot unfolds on the planet Proteus, where Nevin and his friends are stranded after their ship is shot down by the villainous Parvo, a former hero turned tyrant. As Nevin, you must navigate through the living landscape of Proteus, battling waves of enemies while uncovering the mysteries behind Echoplast and its sentience. The game features a time dilation mechanic that allows players to freeze time and execute a series of devastating attacks, adding a tactical layer to combat that feels innovative for its time. Many players missed out on the depth of its combat combat system and the satisfaction of mastering Nevin's abilities. The game's quirky humor and unique visual style set it apart, making it a hidden gem in the PS2 library that deserves more recognition for its creativity and ambition. Area 51, 2005. In this next captivating first-person shooter game, you get to experience the conspiracy-laden lore surrounding the infamous military base where you step as Ethan Cole. Who's Ethan, you ask? A hazmat operative sent to investigate a viral outbreak that has transformed the base's personnel into grotesque mutants and unleashed alien horrors. The storyline unfolds with sci-fi and horror elements, where players are not just battling enemies, but also grappling with the slow transformation caused by the very virus they're trying to contain. Players can wield over 10 types of weapons, including both human and alien armaments designed by Stan Winston Studios, known for their work on Aliens and Jurassic Park. The ability to mutate temporarily into a creature adds an exciting twist, allowing for melee attacks and thermal vision to detect enemies. Despite its engaging premise, Area 51 often flies under the radar due to its conventional FPS gameplay. Critics noted that while it doesn't reinvent the genre, it effectively combines action with an intriguing storyline filled with government cover-ups and extraterrestrial encounters. The game features notable voice talent, including David Duchovny and Marilyn Manson, which adds a layer of charm to its otherwise intense atmosphere. Many players may overlook its humor and cultural references, but these elements contribute to its quirky charm, making it a fun yet underrated title in the PS2 library.
Show us what you got!
Automodelista, 2002. This next one is a distinctive racing game that sets itself apart with its cel-shaded graphics, giving it a unique, cartoon-like aesthetic reminiscent of anime. Players dive into a world where they can customize and race a wide array of vehicles, primarily focusing on Japanese cars, which adds authenticity and appeal for car enthusiasts. The game features several modes, including Garage Life, where players can build their car collection and tune their vehicles extensively. This includes options for tires, brakes, suspension, and even engine swaps, allowing for a level of customization that was quite advanced for its time. Players must manage their car's handling characteristics, which can feel slippery due to the light steering mechanics. This results in a driving experience where cars can drift unexpectedly, making it essential to learn how to control slides effectively. The game features 6 tracks, including the famous Suzuka circuit, but many players found the AI opponents underwhelming, leading to races that lacked challenge. Automodelista struggled to find its audience. Many racing fans felt it didn't fully satisfy the demands of either arcade or simulation racing genres. However, its light-hearted approach to car culture and the sheer fun of customization make it an underrated title in the PS2 library that deserves more recognition for its ambition and creativity. Batman Begins, 2005. This action-adventure game explores the early days of Bruce Wayne's transformation into Batman, incorporating stealth and combat mechanics that mirror the film's themes of fear and justice. Players control Batman from a third-person perspective, utilizing a variety of gadgets like batarangs, smoke grenades, and even a unique HF transponder that summons bats to instill fear in enemies. This fear mechanic is central to gameplay. As enemies become frightened, they drop their weapons, making them vulnerable to Batman's attacks. The plot closely follows the film's typical storyline, starting with Bruce's traumatic childhood and his training with the League of Shadows. Players experience key moments, such as Bruce's refusal to kill during his training and his return to Gotham City to confront crime. The game features several levels set in iconic locations like Wayne Manor and Arkham Asylum, culminating in confrontations with villains like Scarecrow and Ra's al Ghul. The game's reliance on scripted sequences can feel limiting, yet it successfully captures the essence of Batman's character, stealthy, strategic, and always lurking in the shadows. With solid voice acting from cast members like Christian Bale and Michael Caine, Batman Begins offers an amazing experience that deserves recognition among superhero games. Beyond Good and Evil, 2003. In Beyond Good and Evil, players assume the role of Jade, a plucky photojournalist living on the planet Hillies, which is under siege by the sinister Dom-Z aliens. The story kicks off with a brutal attack on her home, prompting Jade to join forces with her uncle Payjay and the underground Iris network to uncover the truth behind the government's complicity in the alien abductions. Jade wields a staff for melee attacks and employs a unique camera mechanic to document evidence of the government's dark dealings. This photography aspect is not just for show. Capturing images of specific creatures and events earns players valuable currency, pearls, that can be used to upgrade their hovercraft and other equipment. The game features a variety of environments, from bustling markets to high-security factories, each filled with challenges that require both combat skills and clever navigation. While it appears kid-friendly with its colourful graphics and whimsical characters, it tackles serious issues like government corruption and exploitation. The game's captivating story, combined with its innovative gameplay elements, has led many fans to regard it as a hidden gem in gaming history. Despite its initial commercial struggles, Beyond Good and Evil has gained a loyal following over the years, celebrated for its originality and emotional resonance in storytelling. Black, 2006. This first-person shooter basically gives you an adrenaline-fueled experience which is also centered around intense gunplay and environmental destruction. Players step into the shoes of Sergeant Jack Keller, a black ops soldier being interrogated about his missions against a terrorist organization known as the Seventh Wave. The narrative unfolds through flashbacks, revealing Keller's high-stakes operations in war-torn regions like Ingushetia and Chechnya. The gameplay is characterized by its focus on explosive action. Players can carry only 2 weapons at a time, which encourages strategic choices based on the mission's demands. The game emphasizes destructible environments, allowing players to blow through walls and create chaos in their surroundings. This mechanic not only enhances the visual spectacle, but also plays a crucial role in tactics. Players can use explosions to eliminate enemies hiding behind cover or create new pathways. The sound design is another standout feature, with realistic weapon sounds that immerse players in the action. While the story is thin, it effectively captures the essence of classic action films, focusing on visceral gameplay. The game's relentless pace and emphasis on destruction make it a memorable entry in the PS2 library, appealing to fans of old-school shooters who appreciate sheer firepower and explosive set pieces. Blood Rain, 2002. Blood Rain is an action-adventure hack-and-slash game that invites players into a dark, supernatural world filled with Nazis and vampires. Set in 1933, players control Rain, a Dhampir, a half-human, half-vampire warrior who is recruited by the Brimstone Society to combat supernatural threats. The plot kicks off with Rain investigating a plague in Morton, Louisiana, which transforms residents into zombie-like mutants. As she battles through various levels, she uncovers a deeper conspiracy involving Nazi occultists attempting to resurrect a demon named Beliar to gain power for Hitler and the Third Reich. In the gameplay, you will get a lot of melee combat and gunplay, allowing you to wield dual blades and firearms simultaneously. Combat is fast-paced and bloody, with Rain able to drain the blood of her enemies to replenish health and enhance her abilities. The game incorporates platforming elements as well, requiring players to navigate through various environments while battling hordes of enemies. However, the game has been criticized for its clunky controls and repetitive enemy design, which can detract from the overall experience. The character of Rain herself is designed as a sexy anti-heroine, which was both a selling point and a source of controversy. Many players appreciate the game's blend of horror and action, even if it doesn't fully deliver on its potential. Ultimately, Blood Rain stands out as an entertaining yet flawed entry in the early 2000s gaming landscape that combines elements of horror, action, and dark humor. Dark Cloud, 2000. This next one is a role-playing game that combines dungeon crawling with city building mechanics, developed by Level 5 for the PlayStation 2. The story follows Tone, a young hero tasked with restoring his village, which has been destroyed by the Dark Genie. Players must explore randomly generated dungeons to gather resources and items needed to rebuild the towns and aid their inhabitants. The gameplay is divided into two main components: combat and the Georama system. Combat involves real-time battles against various monsters, where players can switch between characters and utilize different weapons. The weapon system is notable. Players can upgrade weapons through a leveling system, but they must also manage durability, which can lead to strategic choices during gameplay. The Georama system allows players to place buildings and objects in the town based on the needs of its residents, creating a sense of community and investment in the world. This one was praised, but had issues such as repetitive dungeon design and a somewhat convoluted story. The graphics were considered impressive for the time, though some textures became monotonous as players progressed through the game. Dark Cloud 2 Dark Chronicle 2002. Also known as Dark Chronicle in some regions, this one is an absolute gem that hit the PlayStation 2 in 2002, and it keeps players hooked from start to finish. You step into the shoes of Max, a young lad from the bustling city of Palm Brinks, who gets swept up in an adventure after a travelling circus comes to town. But wait, this is not just any circus. Max finds himself on the run from the sinister leader, leading him to meet the mysterious Monica, who claims to be from a future where a villain named Emperor Griffin is wreaking havoc. Talk about a plot twist. Coming to the gameplay, you will dive into procedurally generated dungeons filled with monsters, treasures, and challenges galore. Combat is fast-paced and fluid. Max swings his trusty wrench while Monica wields a sword and magical bracelet. Plus, you get to pilot a customizable mech called the Ride Pod, because who does not want to crush enemies in style? The weapon system is super cool too. Instead of just finding better weapons, you can upgrade and synthesize them by adding items you collect, making each weapon feel uniquely yours. And let's not forget about the Georama system. As you progress, you will gather materials to rebuild towns and restore their former glory. The game even throws in mini-games like fishing and golf for some extra fun. It's a shame that it couldn't garner a fanbase and see the light of fame. Dark Watch 2005. In this next game, you get to be the boots of Jericho Cross, a rugged outlaw who unwittingly releases a powerful vampire lord named Lazarus Malkuth during a train heist gone wrong. As a result, Jericho is bitten and begins to transform into a vampire himself, leading him to join the Dark Watch, an ancient organization dedicated to hunting down supernatural threats. It's a first-person shooter that allows you to wield an impressive AR arsenal of weapons, including revolvers, crossbows with dynamite-tipped bolts, and even a rail rocket. But what sets it apart are Jericho's vampire powers. Depending on the choices you make throughout the game, you can embrace your vampiric side for some seriously cool abilities. Want to rain down lightning on your foes? Go for the Vindicator power. Prefer to drain the life from your enemies? Soul Stealer has got you covered. Plus, you get nifty moves like Vampire Jump and Blood Vision to keep things fresh in combat. The story unfolds with moral choices that affect the outcome. Will you fight for good or succumb to darkness? The game's graphics were pretty impressive for its time, with destructible environments and a unique art style that captures the gritty essence of the Wild West. It's a hidden gem that combines classic Western tropes with supernatural elements, making it a fun ride for fans of both genres. So saddle up and get ready for some vampire hunting action. Deus Ex PS2 port 2002. Deus Ex: The Conspiracy is the PlayStation 2 port of the critically acclaimed PC game Deus Ex, originally released in 2000. Developed by Ion Storm and published by Eidos Interactive, this version aimed to bring the immersive experience of the PC classic to a console audience. Set in a cyberpunk dystopia, players assume the role of JC Denton, an agent equipped with nanotechnology that grants him superhuman abilities as he navigates a complex web of conspiracies involving global powers and secret organizations. The PS2 port introduced some changes to accommodate the console's hardware limitations. While it retained much of the original game's depth and gameplay mechanics, it had to sacrifice some graphical fidelity, resulting in lower resolution textures and more frequent loading screens due to memory constraints. Although the graphics showed their age, especially compared to contemporary titles, the core gameplay remained engaging and unique for the platform, offering a mix of first-person shooting, stealth, and RPG elements that allowed for multiple playstyles and outcomes. One notable improvement in Deus Ex: The Conspiracy was the introduction of pre-rendered cutscenes that enhanced the storytelling experience. The opening scene was significantly upgraded from its in-game representation to a more cinematic presentation, which helped set the tone for the game. Additionally, some gameplay mechanics were tweaked. For example, players could install augmentations anywhere rather than being restricted to medical bots, as in the PC version. While modern players may prefer the original PC version due to its superior graphics and performance, Deus Ex: The Conspiracy remains an interesting entry in the series' history and is considered an underrated port that successfully brought a classic to a broader audience. Dirge of Cerberus. Final Fantasy VII 2006. Get ready to go. 3 years after the events of Advent Children, the game dives into Vincent's dark past as he battles against a mysterious organization known as Deep Ground, which is hell-bent on awakening a creature called Omega that threatens the planet. Vincent can switch between first and third-person perspectives, making combat feel dynamic and engaging. The weapon customization system is particularly fun, letting players create their own guns with different elemental effects and abilities. Despite its intriguing premise and strong character development, Dirge of Cerberus received mixed reviews. There were issues with pacing and level design, often describing the AI as lackluster. However, many fans appreciate the rich storytelling and emotional depth that Vincent's character brings to the table. While it may not have achieved the same acclaim as its predecessor, Dirge of Cerberus remains an extraordinary entry in the Final Fantasy franchise. Its combination of action-packed gameplay and a gripping story makes it a must-try for die-hard fans who want to delve deeper into Vincent's tragic tale. Dog's Life 2003. This is a quirky and charming action-adventure game that lets players experience the world through the eyes of Jake, an adventurous dog on a mission to rescue his love interest, Daisy. You will be going into a vibrant, open-world environment that includes rural towns, sky resorts, and bustling cities. The game offers a twist on traditional gameplay by allowing players to engage in various dog-like activities. The gameplay revolves around collecting bones, which serve as currency for upgrading Jake's abilities and completing missions. Players can interact with over 15 different dog breeds, each with distinct traits and skills that can be used to tackle challenges. The standout feature is the Smell-O vision, which allows players to switch to a first-person perspective and track down scents represented by different colors. This mechanic is not only fun, but also essential for solving puzzles and completing mini-games like races, tug-of-war, and obedience trials. Throughout the game, players must navigate through various challenges while avoiding dangers like dog catchers. Jake can perform tricks like begging and marking territory, adding to the fun and immersion of the experience. Though it got mixed reviews regarding gameplay depth and controls, Dog's Life has maintained a cult following due to its premise and playful execution. It stands out as a delightful romp through a dog's life, filled with adventure, humor, and plenty of bones to collect. Downhill Domination 2003. Developed by Incognito Entertainment, this PlayStation 2 title lets players race down treacherous mountainsides and urban landscapes at breakneck speeds, all while performing jaw-dropping stunts and engaging in some good old-fashioned biker brawls. Here, you can choose from a roster of 14 riders, including real-life pros like Tara L. Lanes and Brian Lopes. The gameplay is a mix of high-speed racing and combat, allowing players to punch and kick their opponents off their bikes while navigating through challenging courses filled with obstacles. The controls are intuitive, borrowing mechanics from classic titles like Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, making it easy to pick up and play but challenging to master. You can pedal, brake, and perform tricks with a combination of buttons, and pulling off stunts fills your boost meter for extra speed. Talk about adrenaline. The game features various modes, including single-player career and multiplayer options for up to 4 players. As you race through beautifully designed tracks set in locations like Italy and Utah, Utah, you will collect power-ups that enhance your abilities or give you an edge over your competitors. The overall experience is a wild ride filled with fast-paced action and plenty of opportunities for chaotic fun. Dr. Muto 2002. If you want a whimsical platformer that invites players into the chaotic world of a mad scientist, you will love this game. The name of this scientist is Dr. Muto. After a catastrophic accident caused by his own invention destroys his home planet, Muto sets out on a mission to collect the necessary components to rebuild it. Armed with his quirky spliz gun, he can morph into various creatures that help him navigate through the game's vibrant and challenging levels. The gameplay revolves around exploration and puzzle solving, with Dr. Muto able to transform into 5 different creatures by collecting isotopes and animal DNA scattered throughout the game. Each form offers distinct skills, allowing players to tackle obstacles in creative ways. The game features 30 levels filled with humorous enemies and tricky challenges, all wrapped in a colourful, cartoonish aesthetic that enhances its light-hearted tone. Some said that the level design is engaging and encourages experimentation with the various transformations. However, other players found certain collectibles frustratingly difficult to obtain, which affected overall enjoyment. Metacritic scores reflect this mixed reception, with the PS2 version earning a 67% rating and critics praising its fantastic gameplay elements and awarding it an 8.5 out of 10 for its charm and difficulty. Enthusia Professional Racing 2005. Our next game is a racing game that takes a different approach to the genre, focusing on driving skill and strategy rather than the traditional money-based vehicle acquisition. Developed by Konami, it offers players a chance to race a diverse array of cars across various tracks while navigating a complex points system that rewards careful driving. The game features multiple modes, with the standout being Enthusia Life, which serves as the career mode. Here, players participate in weekly races to climb the rankings, but there's a twist. You earn Enthusia points for good driving and risk losing them for collisions or going off course. This system makes every race feel tense, as players must balance aggression with caution to maintain their points and unlock new vehicles. Instead of purchasing cars, you unlock them through a roulette-style mechanic after completing races, adding an element of surprise and excitement to your progression. Visually, Enthusia impresses with its detailed car models and realistic physics, competing closely with titles like Gran Turismo 4. The game emphasizes accurate driving physics, which some players found excessively realistic, perhaps even daunting compared to more arcade-like racing games. If you are up for a challenge and enjoy simulation racing, this title is definitely worth checking out. Extermination 2001. This is a survival horror game that plunges players into a chilling atmosphere set in an abandoned research facility in Antarctica. You take on the role of Sergeant Dennis Riley, a member of a special Marine squad sent to investigate a distress signal from Fort Stewart, only to find themselves embroiled in a nightmare filled with mutated creatures and deadly bacteria. The story kicks off on December 24, 2005, when Riley and his team's plane crashes near the facility. As they parachute to safety, they quickly realize that something horrific has occurred within the base, leaving scientists and staff dead or transformed into grotesque monsters. The gameplay features a mix of action and puzzle solving, with an emphasis on resource management. Players must navigate through dark corridors while managing limited ammunition for their weapons, which can be customized with various attachments like shotguns and flamethrowers. However, ammo is scarce, making it often more prudent to run from enemies rather than engage them directly. One of the game's standout mechanics is the infection system. Every time Riley is attacked by enemies, his infection meter increases. If it reaches 100%, his health deteriorates rapidly and he becomes vulnerable to further damage. To counteract this, players must find MTS vaccines or medical beds scattered throughout the facility to restore health and reduce infection levels. While Extermination received mixed reviews upon its release, some praising its atmosphere and and unique mechanics, while others criticized its clunky controls and AI. It has gained recognition as one of the early titles in the survival horror genre for the PlayStation 2. If you are a fan of horror games looking for an experience that combines action with resource management and a gripping narrative, Extermination is definitely worth checking out. Eve of Extinction, 2002. This 3D beat-them-up game allows players to step into the shoes of Josh Calloway, a genetically enhanced fighter on a quest for revenge against the nefarious Wisdom Income Corporation. The story revolves around Josh, who has undergone extensive biochemical experimentation, granting him superior strength and reflexes. His mission is to uncover the dark secrets behind Wisdom's genetic manipulation and confront the various enemies that stand in his way. Players can switch between different forms of this weapon using simple controls, allowing for a variety of combos and combat styles. The combat is fast-paced and encourages players to string together attacks for maximum effectiveness. Additionally, the game includes platforming segments that require players to navigate through levels filled with obstacles and enemies. Metacritic scores reflect this sentiment, with some reviewers highlighting that while the action can be enjoyable, the overall experience feels somewhat shallow and uninspired compared to other titles in the genre. While it may not have achieved critical acclaim, its unique mechanics and engaging combat provide a fun experience for those willing to overlook its narrative shortcomings. If you're in the mood for some classic beat-them-up action with a sci-fi twist, this title might just be worth your time. Fatal Frame, 2001, known as Project Zero. In some regions, this is a groundbreaking survival horror game developed by Techno Mobile for the PlayStation 2. Set in the eerie Himuro mansion, players control Miku Hinasaki, a young girl searching for her missing brother, Mafuyu. As she explores the mansion, Miku encounters hostile spirits and uncovers the tragic history behind the haunting. The game's antique camera serves as Miku's only weapon against the malevolent ghosts that roam the mansion. To defeat a spirit, players must capture it on film, which requires careful timing and positioning. The closer a ghost is when photographed, the more damage is dealt, culminating in powerful fatal frame shots that can turn the tide in encounters. This innovative approach forces players to confront their fears up close, creating a sense of vulnerability and tension throughout the gameplay. The atmosphere of Fatal Frame is chilling, enhanced by its haunting sound design and dark visuals. Players navigate through dimly lit rooms filled with unsettling noises and ghostly apparitions, making exploration both thrilling and nerve-wracking. The game also features various collectibles, including documents and cassette tapes that deepen the narrative by revealing the mansion's grim past and the fates of its former inhabitants. Despite some criticism regarding its graphics and controls, common issues for early PS2 titles, Fatal Frame received generally positive reviews for its originality and engaging gameplay. Critics praised its ability to evoke genuine fear without relying heavily on jump scares or typical horror tropes. The game has since become a beloved classic in the horror genre, spawning several sequels and maintaining a dedicated fanbase. If you are looking for a super cool horror experience that challenges you to face your fears through a camera lens, Fatal Frame is definitely worth exploring.
No good man.
Fahrenheit Indigo Prophecy, 2005. Now, this next game is a groundbreaking action-adventure game that was developed by Quantic Dream. The game's storyline kicks off with Lucas Kane, who finds himself possessed and committing murder in a diner. As he grapples with the aftermath, players also control detectives Carla Valenti and Tyler Miles, who are hot on his trail, creating a tense cat-and-mouse dynamic throughout the game. Fahrenheit has quite the innovative gameplay mechanics, which rely heavily on quick time events, QTEs, and decision-making. Players must navigate through various scenarios by responding quickly to on-screen prompts, which dictate Lucas's actions as he tries to evade capture while uncovering the supernatural forces at play. The game's unique control scheme allows for a blend of exploration, dialogue choices, and intense action sequences that keep players engaged. The emotional stakes are high, as characters have sanity meters that reflect their mental state based on player choices, adding depth to the narrative experience. Many players found the story compelling up until a point where it became convoluted and less coherent. Fahrenheit has left a lasting impact on the gaming landscape, often regarded as a precursor to modern interactive dramas like Heavy Rain and Detroit Become Human. Flat Out 2004. Flat Out 2004 is a high-octane racing game that combines demolition derby-style racing with a robust physics engine, making it a standout title for the PlayStation 2 and other platforms. Developed by Bugbear Entertainment, the game invites players to take part in chaotic races where the goal is not just to finish first, but also to wreak havoc on opponents and the environment. At its core, Flat Out features a variety of race types, including standard races, demolition derbies, and special stunt events. Players can choose from 16 different cars, each with unique attributes and customizable options. The gameplay emphasizes destruction. Everything from fences to barrels can be smashed, creating a dynamic racing experience where the track changes with each lap due to derbies scattered by crashes. The game's physics engine is particularly noteworthy, allowing for realistic vehicle damage and ragdoll physics that send drivers flying through windshields upon impact, an entertaining spectacle that quickly became one of the game's signature features. The career mode allows players to earn money by winning races, which can then be used to purchase new vehicles or upgrade existing ones. The progression system is straightforward, with players moving through tiers of races that increase in difficulty. However, some critics noted that while the game offers plenty of fun and chaos, it can feel repetitive due to a limited number of tracks and race variations. In addition to its racing mechanics, Flat Out includes a series of mini-games where players can launch their drivers out of their cars to complete challenges like high jumps and dartboard throws. These events add a layer of absurdity and fun that complements the main racing experience. Overall, Flat Out was well received for its entertaining gameplay and impressive physics, but faced criticism for its lack of content depth. It remains a beloved title among fans of arcade racing games who appreciate its blend of speed, destruction, and humour. Flat Out 2, 2006. Next up, we have the explosive sequel to the original Flat Out, developed by Bugbear Entertainment. This action-packed racing game takes the chaotic fun of demolition derby-style racing to new heights, focusing more on street racing and the import tuner scene compared to its predecessor. The gameplay retains the series' signature destructible environments and ragdoll physics, allowing players to smash through obstacles and send their drivers flying through windshields during intense crashes. The game features 3 distinct vehicle classes: derby, race, and street, each offering different handling characteristics and styles of play. The handling has been notably improved from the first game, providing players with better control over their cars, making it easier to navigate tight turns without skidding out of control. The game also includes various mini-games that add an extra layer of fun, such as launching your driver to hit targets or perform stunts. While Flat Out 2 received generally positive reviews for its fun gameplay and improved mechanics, some critics noted that it felt less original than the first installment. The aesthetic choices and track designs were sometimes seen as generic compared to the unique charm of the original game. However, the overall experience remains exhilarating, with chaotic races that keep players on their toes. Forbidden Siren, Siren 2003. This next game is a survival horror game that takes players in the eerie atmosphere of the fictional village of Hanuda. Developed by Sony Entertainment, the game follows multiple characters as they navigate the terrifying events that unfold when a ritual goes awry, leading to the rise of the Shibito, zombie-like creatures that were once villagers. It features sight-jacking mechanic, which allows players to see through the eyes of both allies and enemies. This unique perspective not only enhances gameplay by providing crucial information about enemy movements, but also adds to the game's unsettling atmosphere. players must rely on stealth rather than combat, as direct confrontation with the Shibito is often futile. The game encourages players to hide and sneak around while managing limited resources, creating a sense of vulnerability and tension throughout their journey. The story unfolds in a non-linear fashion, with players jumping between different characters and timelines over 3 days. This fragmented storytelling approach can also lead to confusion, requiring players to piece together the overarching mystery through trial and error. It can be frustrating for those unaccustomed to such gameplay mechanics. While many praised its originality and atmosphere, while criticizing its high difficulty and clunky controls, it still went under the radar. But if you like horror experiences that challenges your patience, Forbidden Siren is definitely worth exploring. Freedom Fighters 2003. Freedom Fighters is often regarded as an underrated gem in the action genre. It is a third-person shooter developed by IO Interactive that immerses players in an alternate history where the Soviet Union has invaded and occupied New York City. You play as Chris Stone, a plumber turned unlikely hero who must rally a group of resistance fighters to liberate the city from its oppressors. The gameplay revolves around both combat and strategic squad management. Players can issue commands to their team, directing them to take cover, attack enemies, or perform specific actions. This tactical element allows players to approach situations in various ways, whether going in guns blazing or using stealth tactics to outmaneuver Soviet forces. The game features a variety of weapons, from firearms to explosives, enabling players to tailor their approach to combat. The game follows something called a liberation mechanic. As players complete missions and liberate areas of the city, they gain support from the local populace, which in turn strengthens their resistance efforts. This dynamic creates a sense of progression and impact as players see the effects of their actions on the world around them. The game's graphics were well received for their detailed environments and character models, particularly considering its release on the PlayStation 2. Ghost Hunter 2004. This next game is a third-person shooter that gives us plenty of horror with action-adventure gameplay. Players assume the role of Lazarus Jones, a rookie detective investigating an abandoned high school rumoured to be haunted. The game kicks off when Lazarus accidentally releases a horde of ghosts from a containment array, leading to the kidnapping of his partner, Anna Steele. To rescue her, Lazarus must capture the spirits he unleashed while navigating various eerie environments, including ghost towns and haunted prisons. The gameplay is divided into exploration, combat, and puzzle solving. Players utilize a variety of weapons, including spectral energy-based firearms and capture grenades designed to trap ghosts after weakening them with gunfire. The combat system allows players to enter hunting mode, where they can aim and shoot at ghosts while moving more slowly. This mechanic gives a strategy, as players must manage their positioning and timing to effectively capture spirits. Critics noted that while the game had its flaws, it successfully captured the spirit of ghost hunting adventures reminiscent of Ghostbusters, making it an enjoyable experience for fans of the genre. One of the game's unique features is the ability to summon Astral, a ghostly companion that assists in solving puzzles and navigating through levels. Players can switch between Lazarus and Astral to utilize their abilities, such as flying through walls or manipulating objects. The game also incorporates a variety of locations that shift in tone from creepy to whimsical, enhancing the overall atmosphere and keeping players engaged throughout their journey. Gitaroo Man 2002. Gitaroo Man is a vibrant rhythm game developed by INIS that tells the whimsical story of U1, a boy who transforms into the legendary Gitaroo Man to battle against the evil Gravillian Empire. Accompanied by his talking dog, Puma, U1 embarks on a quest to collect powerful Gitaroos and save his planet from the clutches of space sharks and other bizarre foes. The gameplay revolves around musical battles where players must follow a trace line using the analog stick, matching the rhythm of the music while pressing buttons at the right moments. Each level consists of various phases, including charge and attack, where players must hit notes accurately to damage opponents and restore health. Players are also graded on their performance after each level, which adds a layer of replayability as they strive for better ranks and unlockables. The game's quirky art style and engaging story have earned it a cult following over the years, despite its initial commercial struggles. It was recognized for its creativity, receiving accolades such as being a Best Game No One Played on PlayStation 2 award.
Okay, I'll do my best.
Grim Grimoire 2007. This next game is a real-time strategy game developed by Vanillaware, known for its stunning 2D art style and storytelling. The game follows the journey of Lilith Blanc, a young witch in training who enrolls at the Tower of Silverstar, a magical academy with dark secrets. The story unfolds over a repeating 5-day cycle, during which Lilith must uncover the mysteries surrounding her school and prevent the malevolent spirit of the Archmage Calvaros from wreaking havoc. The gameplay combines traditional RTS mechanics with a focus on summoning magical creatures through runes. Players can summon units from 4 different schools of magic: glamour, necromancy, sorcery, and alchemy. Each type has strengths and weaknesses against others, creating a rock-paper-scissors dynamic that encourages strategic planning. Players must gather mana from crystals to summon units and complete various objectives, often involving the destruction of enemy runes. The game has a time loop mechanic, where Lilith retains her memories across cycles, allowing her to learn from previous attempts and make different choices to change the outcome. While it may not appeal to everyone due to its RTS mechanics, those who enjoy strategic gameplay paired with an intriguing story will find Grim Grimoire to be a delightful experience worth exploring. Gregory Horror Show 2003. This next one is a survival horror game developed by Capcom, based on the darkly whimsical anime series of the same name. Players find themselves trapped in the eerie Gregory house, a hotel run by the unsettling mouse Gregory. The protagonist, who has lost their way, must navigate this bizarre hotel to collect bottled souls from its eccentric guests in exchange for freedom from the hotel. The gameplay revolves around stealth and puzzle solving rather than direct combat. Players must spy on guests through keyholes to gather information about their habits and weaknesses, which is crucial for retrieving their souls. As players collect souls, they must avoid detection, as guests will chase after them if they are caught. This adds a layer of tension and strategy to the experience, as players need to manage their mental state, represented by a mental gauge, which decreases when they are pursued or caught. If the gauge depletes completely, it results in a game over scenario where players are subjected to a horror show, a brief animated sequence showcasing their demise at the hands of the guests. The story unfolds over various encounters with the hotel's quirky inhabitants, and the protagonist's journey is guided by Death, who promises to help them escape once all 12 souls are collected. The gameplay could feel slow and clunky at times, requiring players to take notes outside of the game to progress effectively. However, Gregory Horror Show has developed a cult following due to its horror and humor elements. Gun 2005. In this action-adventure game, players take on the role of Colton White, a gunslinger seeking revenge for his father's death and uncovering dark secrets along the way. The story kicks off when Colton and his father, Ned, are attacked on a steamboat by a gang led by the corrupt preacher Josiah Reed. After Ned's tragic demise, Colton embarks on a journey filled with gunfights, betrayal, and quests for justice against various foes, including outlaws and corrupt officials. The gameplay features a mix of third-person shooting mechanics and open-world exploration. Players can traverse the expansive environments on foot or horseback, engaging in intense shootouts using a wide array of weapons such as pistols, rifles, and dynamite. The game incorporates a dead-eye mechanic, allowing players to slow down time and line up shots against multiple enemies. Additionally, players can engage in side missions that involve bounty hunting, cattle ranching, and poker games, contributing to character progression and enhancing the overall experience. While the mechanics were solid and the action was intense for its time, The brevity of the main plot left players wanting more depth in character development and mission variety. Gungrave, 2002. Based on the popular anime and manga series, this game follows the story of Grave, a resurrected gunslinger seeking vengeance against the criminal organization known as Millennium, which is responsible for his death and the destruction of his loved ones. With his signature dual pistols and a coffin that serves as both a weapon and a shield, Grave embarks on a relentless quest to eliminate his enemies. Players can unleash powerful combos and utilize various weapons, including shotguns and machine guns, while also performing acrobatic moves to dodge enemy attacks. The game emphasizes style over substance, encouraging players to rack up high scores by chaining together kills and executing flashy moves. The bullet time mechanic allows players to slow down time, giving them an edge during intense firefights. The character designs are faithful to their animated counterparts, adding to the game's appeal for fans of the series. While many praised its fast-paced action and visual flair, some noted that the gameplay could become repetitive over time due to limited level design and enemy variety. Still, it remains a must-play for fans of the anime. Haunting Ground, 2005. Known for its unsettling atmosphere and gameplay mechanics, this game lets players step into the role of Fiona Belly, a young woman who awakens in a mysterious castle after a car accident that left her parents dead. With no memory of how she got there, Fiona must navigate the eerie surroundings while being pursued by various grotesque enemies, including the menacing Debilitas and the seductive Daniela. The gameplay centers around exploration, puzzle solving, and stealth rather than combat. Fiona is defenseless and must rely on her wits and her loyal dog companion Huey to survive. Players can command Huey to distract enemies, retrieve items, or assist in solving puzzles. Building a bond with Huey is crucial. Players can praise or scold him to improve his effectiveness during encounters. The game features a panic mechanic, where Fiona's mental state affects her ability to navigate and respond to threats, adding an extra layer of tension as she may fall into a panic when chased. Critics have praised Haunting Ground for its atmospheric design and intricate puzzles, which often require players to think outside the box. The game uses voyeuristic elements to enhance its horror experience, making players feel complicit in Fiona's struggles. But if you're looking for an experience that combines traditional horror elements with unique gameplay dynamics, Haunting Ground is definitely worth exploring. Haven, Call of the King, 2002. Developed by Traveller's Tales and published by Midway Games, the game follows the journey of Haven, a young man enslaved by the evil Emperor Vetch, who dreams of summoning a legendary king to save his world. As players navigate through various environments, they encounter a mix of platforming, shooting, and racing elements, making the gameplay diverse but somewhat disjointed. The story begins with Haven working in the mines of Verescent Village, where he witnesses his friend being attacked by guards. After a mine collapse, he escapes and sets out to confront Emperor Vetch. Throughout the game, players can utilize Haven's unique yo-yo-like weapon, known as the Mag Ball, to defeat enemies and solve puzzles. The gameplay incorporates various mechanics, including vehicle sections and aerial combat, which some players found enjoyable, while others felt it detracted from the core experience. Everyone had mixed feelings about Haven, Call of the King. While some appreciated its ambition and variety of gameplay styles, others felt that it lacked coherence and polish. Even though it encompassed multiple genres, it often felt derivative of other platformers like Jak and Daxter, leading to comparisons that highlighted its shortcomings in originality. The game received an overall score of 6.5 out of 10 from GameSpot, which highlighted both its entertaining aspects and its flaws in level design and narrative coherence. Despite its mixed reviews, Haven: Call of the King has garnered a niche following for its quirky charm and adventurous spirit. Hunter: The Reckoning, 2002. Developed by High Voltage Software, This is a third-person action shooter that also did not see the light of fame. Set in the dark and gritty universe of the World of Darkness, the game allows players to take on the roles of one of 4 hunters: Deuce, a biker ex-con; Father Cortez, a prison chaplain; Cassandra, a raver chick; and Samantha, a tough ex-cop. Each character comes equipped with a variety of weapons and special abilities, enabling players to battle against supernatural enemies such as vampires, werewolves, and other creatures of the night. Players can engage in fast-paced combat using both melee and ranged weapons while utilizing various magical abilities to enhance their effectiveness in battle. The game's design encourages teamwork, as players must coordinate their efforts to overcome challenging foes and complete objectives. The game's graphics were noted for their atmospheric environments that effectively captured the dark tone of the World of Darkness setting. However, the single-player experience could feel lonely and repetitive compared to the more dynamic multiplayer mode. People highlighted that while the game was enjoyable, it was primarily designed with multiplayer in mind, making solo play less appealing. iNinja 2003. If you're craving a mix of slapstick humor, over-the-top action, and platforming chaos, iNinja might just be the most underrated PS2 gem you didn't know you needed. Developed by Argonaut Games, this wild ride puts you in the sandals of a hot-headed little ninja warrior with a big mouth and even bigger moves. The story kicks off with Ninja saving his ghostly sensei from the evil ranks, only to accidentally kill him in a rage-fueled mishap involving a rage stone. Whoops. Luckily, Sensei sticks around as a spectral guide because Ninja's got a lot on his plate, collecting more rage stones, defeating the evil Emperor Odor, and occasionally dealing with awkward hugs from overly affectionate fish girls. Don't ask. You'll run, jump, slash, grind rails, and even pilot a giant robot. Each level offers something fresh, whether it's battling mechanical sea creatures in Bombay or suiting up in a battle mech to squash underworld demons. The platforming is tight, the combat is satisfyingly over the top, and the boss battles are as wacky as they are challenging. And just when you think Ninja's journey is wrapping up, the game leaves you with a cliffhanger that's equal parts epic and hilarious. iNinja is an absolute blast, proving that even the tiniest heroes can pack a punch and a lot of personality. Ico 2001. This game is a critically acclaimed action-adventure game developed by Team Ico, which follows the journey of a young boy named Ico, who is born with horns and is imprisoned in a mysterious castle as part of a ritual sacrifice. Upon escaping his confinement, Ico encounters Yorda, a girl trapped within the castle, and together they must navigate the treacherous environment while evading shadowy creatures that seek to capture Yorda. Players control Ico as he interacts with the environment to solve puzzles that allow both characters to progress. The bond between Ico and Yorda is central to the experience. Players must protect Yorda as she is vulnerable to attacks from enemies. The game features minimal dialogue, relying instead on visual storytelling and atmospheric design to convey its story, which has been praised for its emotional depth and artistic presentation. The game's minimalist approach to storytelling and its emphasis on solitude and companionship have influenced many subsequent titles in the gaming industry, including Shadow of the Colossus and The Last Guardian, both of which were also developed by Team Ico. Film director Guillermo del Toro has described Ico as a masterpiece, highlighting its emotional impact and artistic merit. Incredible Hulk Ultimate Destruction 2005. Developed by Radical Entertainment, this game allows players to play as the Hulk in a free-roaming environment, emphasizing destructible surroundings and an expansive moveset that captures the essence of the iconic character. In Ultimate Destruction, players navigate an open-world setting where they can unleash chaos on the environment. The gameplay revolves around using the Hulk's immense strength to destroy buildings, vehicles, and enemies, while completing various missions. Players earn smash points through destruction, which can be used to unlock new moves and abilities, such as turning cars into weapons or using buses as shields. The game features a variety of combat mechanics, including a critical mass mode that enhances attacks and allows for devastating moves against enemies. GameSpot highlighted the game's intuitive controls and the satisfaction of executing powerful moves, stating that the game absolutely does best is give you a metric ton of ways to completely obliterate anything around you. However, some criticism was directed at the game's AI and mission design. While many found the combat enjoyable, others noted that enemy behavior could be inconsistent, leading to moments where they would become stuck or fail to respond effectively during battles. Despite these issues, The Incredible Hulk: Ultimate Destruction has been regarded as one of the best superhero games of its time, capturing the chaotic spirit of the Hulk while providing a satisfying gameplay experience. Jet Li: Rise to Honor, 2004. This game features the legendary martial artist Jet Li, who lends his likeness and voice to the protagonist, Kit Yun, a bodyguard caught in a web of crime and intrigue. The story follows Kit Yun as he protects Boss Chiang, the leader of a Hong Kong crime syndicate. After Chiang is assassinated, Kit must travel to the US to rescue Chiang's daughter and uncover the conspiracy behind his death. The gameplay blends beat-em-up mechanics with third-person shooting elements, allowing players to engage in fluid martial arts combat while also utilizing firearms in various scenarios. The game also includes stealth sections and chase sequences that add variety to the gameplay experience. While the fighting mechanics were enjoyable, the overall gameplay could feel repetitive compared to other titles in the genre. The presentation of Rise to Honor received praise for its cinematic flair, featuring well-choreographed cutscenes that evoke the feel of a Hong Kong action film. The game's visuals were noted for their impressive graphics for a PlayStation 2 title, effectively capturing Jet Li's martial arts style. However, despite its engaging premise and high production values, the game did not quite reach the same level of polish as other action games of its time. Justice League Heroes, 2006. The game allows players to take control of iconic superheroes from the DC universe, including Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, and The Flash. As they battle against various villains threatening the world, the story begins when a meteor crashes into Earth, prompting Brainiac to scheme against the Justice League. Players must navigate through various locations, such as Metropolis and Mars, while combating enemies like Gorilla Grodd and Queen Bee. The narrative is crafted by Dwayne McDuffie, a writer known for his work on the Justice League Unlimited animated series, which adds depth and authenticity to the game's plot. The story might feel like an extended episode of the animated series, with engaging dialogue and character interactions that resonate with fans of the franchise. Players can initially choose from 7 heroes, with additional characters unlockable through gameplay. The combat system encourages players to experiment with different character combinations to maximize effectiveness against enemies. Despite its strengths, Justice League Heroes received mixed reviews from critics. While many praised its engaging story and character dynamics, some noted that the gameplay could have been better. Killer 7 2005, directed by Goichi Suda. This game follows an elite group of assassins known as the Killer 7, who are physical manifestations of a man named Harmon Smith. These assassins perform hits on behalf of the United States government while uncovering a deeper conspiracy involving Japan's role in US politics. The gameplay features a unique on-rails control scheme, combining elements of a first-person shooter with adventure-style mechanics. Players navigate through various missions, battling enemies known as Heaven Smiles, which are grotesque manifestations that threaten the world. Each character in the Killer 7 has distinct abilities, and the game's narrative is complex, exploring themes such as multiple personality disorder and the nature of violence, which has sparked discussions regarding its artistic merit and controversial content. The game's storytelling is often described as surreal and thought-provoking, drawing comparisons to film noir and other artistic influences. While the gameplay mechanics might be unconventional and challenging for some players, those who embrace its unique design will find a rich and rewarding experience. Despite receiving mixed reviews upon release, it got a Metacritic score of 74. Kill Switch 2003. This next one is a third-person shooter developed by Namco Home Tech and released for the PlayStation 2, Xbox and PC. The game follows Nick Bishop, a super soldier controlled remotely through a neural connection by an entity known as Controller. Players navigate through various missions designed to escalate tensions between global powers, ultimately leading to a larger conflict. The gameplay is notable for its innovative cover system, which allows players to take cover behind objects and fire at enemies while remaining protected. This mechanic was one of the first of its kind in third-person shooters and has influenced many subsequent games in the genre, including Gears of War. Players can utilize blind fire while taking cover, which encourages players to use their environment effectively. The storyline unfolds across several missions, with Bishop experiencing flashbacks that reveal his past and the circumstances surrounding his control. While the story has been described as intriguing, some reviewers felt it lacked coherence compared to other titles in the genre. Despite many criticisms, Kill Switch is often remembered for its contribution to the evolution of cover-based shooting mechanics in video games. Klonoa 2, Lunatea's Veil 2001. Now, the next game is a critically acclaimed platformer, developed and published by Namco for the PlayStation 2, serving as a direct sequel to Klonoa. Door to Phantom Isle, the game continues the adventures of Klonoa, a floppy-eared hero, as he embarks on a quest to save the dream world of Lunatea from impending doom. The story begins with Klonoa being drawn into Lunatea after hearing a mysterious voice calling for help. He soon teams up with Lolo, a priestess, and Popka, her companion, to stop the ominous fifth bell from ringing, which threatens to bring chaos to their world. Players must navigate through various kingdoms, each governed by one of the 4 harmony bells, while solving puzzles and defeating enemies along the way. The plot is noted for its emotional and darker undertones compared to its predecessor, featuring significant plot twists that enhance the overall experience. Gameplay in Klonoa 2 retains the series' signature 2.5D mechanics, allowing players to move in a primarily side-scrolling manner while interacting with a fully rendered 3D environment. Klonoa uses his magical ring to capture enemies and utilize them for combat or as platforms for double jumps. The game introduces new gameplay elements such as hoverboarding sections and features a world map that allows players to revisit previous levels for collectibles and extra lives. The graphics utilize cel shading techniques that give the game a distinct aesthetic appeal, while the soundtrack complements the whimsical yet sometimes melancholic atmosphere of Lunatea. Overall, Klonoa 2, Lunatea's Veil is regarded as one of the must-plays on the PlayStation 2. Lifeline 2004. Also known in Japan as Operator's Side, this game is a survival horror adventure game developed and published by Sony Entertainment for the PlayStation 2. Set in the near future, aboard a space hotel besieged by unidentified monsters, the game follows the player as they direct cocktail waitress Rio Hohenheim to safety, while searching for the player's girlfriend Naomi and uncovering the source of the monster infestation. The defining feature of Lifeline is its voice user interface, which allows players to issue commands to Rio using the PlayStation 2's microphone. Players must verbally instruct her on actions such as running, stopping, or examining objects, making it a unique experience in gaming at the time. The game includes approximately 500 commands, prompting Rio to perform specific actions based on the player's verbal input. While this innovative mechanic was praised for its ambition, it also faced criticism for its reliability. Many players reported issues with the speech recognition system not accurately interpreting commands, leading to frustrating gameplay experiences. Players guide Rio through various challenges, including combat with mutated humans and solving puzzles to progress. As she navigates the hotel, players learn that the monsters are not extraterrestrial beings, but rather humans, transformed by a failed experiment involving a philosopher's stone. The story culminates in a dramatic escape from the space station, as Rio and the operator work together to survive. Some people said that while the voice command system was quite deep, players needed to practice their enunciation for optimal responses. But regardless, Lifeline is definitely worth exploring. The Mark of Cry, 2002. When it comes to underrated gems on the PS2, The Mark of Cry deserves a crown, or maybe a sharp-edged axe. This action-adventure title, the brainchild of San Diego Studio, served up a fresh Polynesian-inspired world. Imagine Disney animators deciding to throw a backyard party with Conan the Barbarian. Yeah, it's that kind of vibe. The mix of lush, cartoonish visuals and downright savage combat made it a standout. But somehow, it flew under the radar for most gamers. You step into the sandals of Rao Utu, a noble warrior armed with a sword as sharp as his moral code. Accompanied by Kuzo, his ever-handy raven and part-time GPS, Rao tackles stealth missions, gruesome battles, and a destiny full of twists. The story takes you through mystical forests, cursed temples, and a trail of betrayal as Rao faces the Dark One and his Kasai minions. Spoiler alert, things get messy, and vengeance is served hotter than a summer day in the tropics. Gameplay-wise, it was intuitive, satisfying, and made combat feel like a deadly ballet. Whether you're slicing through bandits or creeping through shadows, every moment felt tailored to keep you hooked. It's a crime this game isn't more celebrated. It's a bloody good time wrapped in an art style that's both charming and chilling. Mashed Fully Loaded, 2005. Mashed Fully Loaded is an expanded re-release of the original Mashed, a vehicular combat racing game developed by Supersonic Software. This updated version was released for the PlayStation 2, Xbox and PC, enhancing the gameplay experience with additional content and improvements. Players engage in chaotic races where they can use weapons and power-ups to hinder opponents while navigating a variety of tracks. The game supports up to 4 players in multiplayer mode, allowing for intense competitive play. One of the key features of this version is the inclusion of new tournaments, such as Turbo, Ice, and Night, as well as an expanded roster of vehicles and tracks, bringing the total to 60-player challenges across various environments. The game also introduced 6 new training modes and improved power-up mechanics, making it easier for players to collect items during races. People loved Mashed Fully Loaded for its addictive gameplay and fun multiplayer experience. Eurogamer highlighted the game's blend of driving skills and dirty tricks, noting that it remains an utterly compelling experience in single or multiplayer. However, some reviews pointed out that while the graphics were cheerful and functional, they were not particularly impressive compared to other titles on the market.
The President today reaffirmed the need for this peacekeeping mission.
The General posted bounties today for the latest deck of 52.
Mercenaries Playground of Destruction, 2005. This one is an open-world action-adventure game developed by Pandemic Studios and published by LucasArts for the PlayStation 2, Xbox and PC. Set in a fictionalized version of North Korea, the game allows players to take on the role of mercenaries hired to complete various missions, ranging from assassinations to sabotage, all while navigating a war-torn landscape filled with enemies and explosive chaos. The gameplay emphasizes player freedom, allowing for multiple approaches to missions. Players can choose to engage enemies head-on, utilize stealth tactics, or even call in airstrikes to achieve their objectives. The game features a dynamic environment where nearly everything can be destroyed, enhancing the sense of chaos and immersion. Everyone praised the destructible environments and the variety of vehicles available for use, including tanks and helicopters, which contribute to the game's explosive action. The story unfolds through a series of missions that involve various factions, including North Korean forces and the Russian mafia. Players can choose to ally with different groups or pursue their own interests, leading to multiple endings based on their choices. The voice acting in the game features notable performances from actors like Peter Stormare and Carl Weathers, and some even praised the game for its gorgeous graphics and fundamentally satisfying action, but mentioned minor issues like exaggerated explosion physics and inconsistent sound design.
Sweet crude oil, son. Duty calls. A particularly vile grunt by the name of Flags.
Metal Arms: Glitch in the System, 2003. This third-person shooter action-adventure game is set on the planet Iron Star. The game follows a rebellious robot named Glitch as he fights against the oppressive forces of General Corrosive and his army of Millbots. The story begins with Glitch being discovered deactivated in a junkyard and subsequently reactivated by the Droid Rebellion, who enlist him in their fight for freedom. Players can utilize a wide array of weapons, including machine guns, grenades, and more unique options like a mind control grenade that allows Glitch to turn enemies against each other. The game is known for its engaging combat mechanics, which include dynamic enemy interactions where foes can lose limbs or malfunction during battles. This adds a layer of humour and creativity to the gameplay, making each encounter feel unique and entertaining. Some highlighted the game's intense dynamic combat and noted that the voice acting added personality to the characters, enhancing the overall experience. However, the story was somewhat thin and predictable, relying on classic good versus evil tropes without much depth. Despite these criticisms, Metal Arms has developed a cult following over the years for its fun gameplay and charm. It was intended to kick off a trilogy, but unfortunately, plans for sequels were never realised after Swingin' Ape Studios was acquired by Blizzard Entertainment in 2005. Mr. Mosquito, 2002. Mr. Mosquito is a unique stealth action game developed by Zoom and published by Sony Computer Entertainment. The game centres around a mosquito named Mr. Mosquito, who has taken up residence in the home of the Yamada family. The objective is to suck blood from the family members while avoiding detection and swatting. The gameplay revolves around the player controlling Mr. Mosquito as he navigates the house, looking for opportunities to feed. Each level presents different challenges, including the need to avoid being spotted by family members who will attempt to swat him if they notice his presence. Players must manage a stress meter, which increases if the victims become aware of the mosquito's actions. If the meter gets too high, they will attack, resulting in an instant game over if Mr. Mosquito is caught. Many have praised Mr. Mosquito for its quirky premise and engaging mechanics. The game features a variety of environments and obstacles, such as insecticides and mosquito coils. The art style is cartoonish and colourful, contributing to the game's light-hearted tone despite its unusual subject matter. Additionally, while the game received praise for its originality, some critics noted that it could become repetitive over time. It was later re-released on PlayStation Network for PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5 in 2024, allowing a new generation of players to experience its unique gameplay. Monster Hunter, 2004. This one is an action role-playing game developed and published by Capcom for the PlayStation 2. It marks the beginning of the now iconic Monster Hunter series, where players assume the role of a hunter tasked with tracking and slaying various large monsters in a richly detailed fantasy world. Players go on quests that typically involve hunting or capturing monsters, gathering resources, and crafting better equipment from the materials obtained. The game features a variety of weapons and armor sets, each with unique attributes and playstyles, encouraging players to experiment and find the best fit for their hunting strategies. The storyline is relatively minimal, focusing more on the gameplay loop of hunting and crafting, rather than a deep storyline. The game introduced several mechanics that would become staples of the series, such as gathering resources from defeated monsters and crafting gear to enhance the player's capabilities. GameSpot described it as a game that rewards patience, but acknowledged that its slow pace might deter some players. Despite its initial niche appeal, Monster Hunter has grown into one of Capcom's most successful franchises, leading to numerous sequels and spin-offs. The series gained significant popularity in Western markets with later entries like Monster Hunter World, which expanded its audience considerably.
How can we escape this infernal cell?
It is no use. We're trapped here forever.
There is a way out. Remember the legend of the dragons.
Mystic Heroes, 2002. Mystic Heroes is a hack-and-slash action game which is loosely based on the Chinese supernatural novel Investiture of the Gods, which narrates the fall of the Shang dynasty and the rise of the Zhou dynasty. In Mystic Heroes, players control one of several characters as they battle through various stages filled with enemies and bosses. The gameplay features a variety of melee attacks and elemental spells that become more powerful with continuous use. Players can choose from 4 playable characters in the PS2 version, with additional unlockable characters available, bringing the total to 8. The game includes a single-player story mode, 3 additional single-player modes, and cooperative and versus multiplayer options. Levels take place in diverse settings, including deserts, castles, and swamps, where players face waves of enemies and challenging bosses. The plot centers around Emperor Kang and his wife Sheva, who ruled with an iron fist. After being sealed away by 2 elite mystics, Tai and Naja, Kang's son Cyrus seeks to free them by building an army. Players must navigate through this conflict alongside other mystics to restore peace. Mystic Heroes received mixed reviews upon release. On Metacritic, the PlayStation 2 version has a score of 67 out of 100, reflecting average reception. Some highlighted that while it was an enjoyable experience for fans of hack-and-slash games, it did not significantly innovate within the genre.
He's still alive. Prep and Chuff on the double. He's the only one who can clean up this mess.
Nano Breaker, 2005. This next game is set in a futuristic world where nanomachines, initially designed to enhance human life, have gone awry. The game follows the protagonist, Jake, a cyborg warrior armed with a shape-shifting plasma blade. Players must navigate through hordes of enemies while battling the rogue nanomachines that have begun harvesting human blood and iron to create monstrous machines. The gameplay focuses on fast-paced melee combat, allowing players to slash through enemies and utilize various combos. The plasma blade can transform into different weapon types, providing versatility in combat. However, despite its promising mechanics, while the game featured intense action and over-the-top violence, earning it a reputation for its graphic depictions of bloodshed, it suffered from a cliched story and unengaging environments. Eurogamer described the story as a cliched, underdeveloped mess, yet acknowledged that the cutscenes were among the more enjoyable aspects of the game, as they provided some narrative context amidst the chaotic gameplay. IGN pointed out that the environments were uninteresting and that the overall experience felt mundane despite its violent premise. I mean, if you're into unhinged violence, you should definitely check this out. Odin Sphere, 2007. This critically acclaimed action role-playing game is set in a beautifully crafted fantasy world and follows the intertwining stories of 5 protagonists, each with their own abilities and narrative arcs. The characters include Gwendolyn, a Valkyrie, Cornelius, a prince turned into a beast, and Mercedes, a fairy princess, among others. The gameplay features a side-scrolling format with a focus on combat and exploration. Players engage in hack-and-slash mechanics while utilizing magical abilities tied to powerful weapons known as ciphers. Combat is fluid and dynamic, allowing players to string together combos and utilize special skills effectively. The game also incorporates an alchemy system where players can create potions and items from ingredients gathered throughout their journey, adding an RPG element to the gameplay. The animation is particularly noteworthy, with characters exhibiting lifelike movements and expressions that enhance the storytelling experience. The story unfolds through 5 chapters, each focusing on one of the protagonists as they navigate their personal struggles against the backdrop of the Cauldron War, a conflict that threatens their world. The story is rich with themes of love, betrayal, and destiny, drawing inspiration from various mythologies. including elements reminiscent of Arthurian legends. Odin's Sphere received widespread acclaim from critics, earning high scores for its engaging gameplay and artistic presentation. Okaj, Shadow King, 2001. Okaj, Shadow King is a role-playing game developed by Xena Works, which follows the story of a young boy named Ari, who becomes entangled with an ancient evil spirit known as Lord Stanley. He had Trinidad Firtiu, or Stan. After a ritual gone wrong, Stan merges with Ari's shadow, compelling him to assist in reclaiming Stan's lost powers and defeating rival fake evil kings that threaten their world. The gameplay is characterized by turn-based combat, where players engage in battles against various enemies encountered throughout the game. Players can explore towns, traverse dungeons, and utilize warp pillars for fast travel. Combat mechanics involve managing health points and magic points, with characters learning spells based on their elemental affinities. The game's quirky humor is evident in its dialogue and character interactions, often drawing comparisons to the whimsical style of Tim Burton's works due to its distinct visual design and eccentric characters. GameSpot noted that while the game had a slow start, it eventually developed into an enjoyable experience filled with quirky humor and memorable moments. Despite its mixed reviews upon release, Okage Shadow King has gained a cult following over the years for its originality and charm. It is often recommended for both newcomers to the RPG genre and veterans looking for something different. Okami, 2006. Okami is set in a beautifully stylized world inspired by Japanese mythology. Players control Amaterasu, the sun goddess, who takes the form of a white wolf. The story follows Amaterasu as she embarks on a quest to defeat the evil serpent Orochi and restore life to the land of Nippon, which has been plagued by darkness and despair. One of the game's standout features is its unique celestial brush mechanic, which allows players to use a brush to create various effects in the environment. By pausing the action and drawing symbols with the controller, players can perform actions such as creating pathways, cutting objects, or summoning rain. This mechanic not only enhances gameplay, but also ties into the game's artistic presentation, which resembles traditional Japanese ink paintings. Okami received widespread critical acclaim upon its release, and the art style is particularly notable for its watercolor-like aesthetics and vibrant colors, which contribute to the game's enchanting atmosphere. The game won several awards, including Game of the Year from multiple publications, and a BAFTA award for Best Game. Its influence can be seen in subsequent titles that draw inspiration from its artistic style and gameplay mechanics. If you're looking for an unforgettable gaming experience that combines mythology with innovative gameplay and stunning visuals, Okami is definitely worth playing. Onimusha: Dawn of Dreams, 2006. This is an action-adventure game developed by Capcom for the PlayStation 2, marking the fourth installment in the Onimusha series. The game follows a new protagonist, Soki, who embarks on a quest to defeat the evil forces threatening Japan, including the notorious demon lord Nobunaga Oda. The story unfolds in a fantasy version of feudal Japan, combining historical figures with supernatural elements. Players can switch between multiple characters, each with abilities and fighting styles, allowing for varied gameplay experiences. The game introduces a more linear structure compared to its predecessors, with levels designed as chapters that last approximately 10 to 20 minutes each. Critics noted that while this structure provided a clear progression path, it also limited exploration compared to earlier entries in the series that allowed for more open-world navigation. The visual presentation of Onimusha: Dawn of Dreams received praise for its graphics and character design. However, some reviews pointed out that it felt less polished than previous titles in the franchise. Critics highlighted issues with the dialogue and voice acting quality, noting that many cutscenes relied on text rather than fully animated sequences. Although the game provided a lengthy adventure lasting over 15 hours, especially for players who explored optional content and side quests. However, some players felt that the game did not live up to the high standards set by earlier installments in the series. Peter Jackson's King Kong, 2005. This video game adaptation of the film, directed by Peter Jackson, released for multiple platforms including the PlayStation 2, Xbox, and PC. The game allows players to experience the events of the movie through the perspectives of both Jack Driscoll, a scriptwriter, and King Kong himself, providing a unique gameplay dynamic that shifts between human and monster. In the game, players go through the treacherous environments of Skull Island, facing various threats such as dinosaurs and hostile natives. The gameplay features a mix of first-person action when playing as Jack and third-person combat when controlling Kong. The human segments emphasize survival mechanics, where players must utilize weapons and environmental elements to fend off enemies. Conversely, the Kong sections focus on brute strength and cinematic action, allowing players to engage in combat with larger creatures like T-Rexes using powerful attacks. Additionally, the AV Club referred to it as an instant classic, commending its ability to blend action with narrative elements effectively. However, some reviews pointed out flaws in gameplay mechanics, particularly in the camera controls during combat sequences. While playing as Kong was exhilarating, the human segments could feel less engaging due to their linearity and simplicity. Despite mixed reviews from some outlets regarding its depth and pacing, Peter Jackson's King Kong is often regarded as one of the better film tie-in games. If you are interested in an action-adventure game that combines thrilling combat with cinematic elements based on a beloved film, Peter Jackson's King Kong is definitely worth checking out. Pitfall: The Lost Expedition, 2004. Developed by Edge of Reality, Pitfall: The Lost Expedition is an action-adventure platformer that serves as a modern reimagining of the classic Pitfall franchise, featuring the iconic character Pitfall Harry as he embarks on a quest to rescue a beautiful archaeologist and thwart the evil Jonathan St. Clair from claiming the lost city of El Dorado. The gameplay involves navigating through lush jungles, treacherous swamps, and ancient ruins while encountering various enemies such as crocodiles, bats, and human adversaries. Players control Harry as he utilizes a range of abilities to overcome obstacles, including swinging on vines, swimming, and climbing. The game features a mix of platforming elements and puzzle-solving mechanics that require players to explore their surroundings and collect items to progress. The game employs well-animated cutscenes that add humor and charm to the story, enhancing the overall experience. While the game had its flaws, such as a clumsy map navigation system, it offered tight controls and satisfying platforming mechanics that made it enjoyable to play. GameSpot echoed similar sentiments, giving the game a score of 7.3 out of 10 and describing it as a solid platformer suitable to play over the weekend. While it had finely tuned gameplay and well-designed levels, it ultimately failed to stand out in a crowded genre. Primal, 2003. This game follows the story of Jennifer Tate, a young woman who, after her boyfriend is kidnapped by a powerful demon, is thrust into a dark and fantastical world where she must restore balance to the primal forces of existence with the help of a gargoyle named Scree. The gameplay features a mix of exploration, puzzle solving, and combat. Players can switch between controlling Jen and Scree at any time. Jen has the ability to transform into various demon forms, each granting her unique powers and abilities that are essential for overcoming obstacles and defeating enemies. Scree, on the other hand, is invulnerable to damage and can assist Jen in navigating the environment and solving puzzles. The dynamic between the two characters adds depth to the gameplay, as players must utilize their respective strengths to progress through the game. The environments are richly detailed and the character models are well crafted, contributing to an immersive experience. GameSpot highlighted that the game's superb graphics and voice acting make it a showcase title for the PS2. While the visuals were stunning, the combat system felt clunky and simplistic. The story received mixed reviews. While some appreciated its dark themes and character development, others found it somewhat cliché. The interactions between Jen and Scree were often highlighted as a strong point, with their witty banter adding humour to the otherwise serious tone of the game.
Devil. The Indians even had legends about it going back centuries. stories of an invisible killer, a demon who traveled with the comets, returning in the hottest season.
Predator: Concrete Jungle, 2005. Set in a fictional city called New Way City, the game follows a disgraced predator who seeks to regain his honor by hunting down the humans who have stolen his advanced technology. The narrative spans several decades, beginning in the 1930s and culminating in a modern-day setting filled with crime and corruption. The gameplay allows players to control the predator as he stalks his prey, utilizing a variety of weapons and gadgets characteristic of the franchise. Players can engage in stealth tactics, using the predator's cloaking ability to remain undetected while executing brutal takedowns. The game features a mix of combat styles, including melee attacks and ranged weaponry, allowing players to approach missions with different strategies. While some praise the concept of playing as the iconic alien hunter, many reviews pointed out significant flaws in execution. People described it as a good idea gone bad, criticizing its confusing controls and awkward gameplay mechanics that detracted from the immersive experience expected from a Predator title. The graphics were considered impressive for their time, with detailed environments that captured the gritty essence of a crime-ridden city. However, many reviewers felt that the game's potential was undermined by its lackluster storytelling and repetitive gameplay.
Okay, team. All systems are go. I have audio-visual feedback from you all. Head straight across into the Real Meat facility and I'll give you a fix on the control room when you're in.
Project Eden, 2001. This action-adventure game was developed by Core Design and published by Eidos Interactive for the PlayStation 2 and PC. Set in a dystopian future, the game follows a squad of 4 Urban Protection Agency (UPA) agents as they investigate the mysterious disappearances of people in a sprawling megacity. Players control each character to solve puzzles and combat various enemies throughout the game. The gameplay needs teamwork and puzzle solving, requiring players to switch between characters to utilize their specific skills effectively. For example, one character can hack into systems, while another can repair machinery. This cooperative gameplay is central to progressing through the game's levels, which feature a mix of exploration and combat against hostile creatures and enemies lurking in the depths of the city. Graphically, Project Eden received mixed reviews. While some praised its detailed environments and character models, others criticized the game's dark visuals, which sometimes obscured important pathways and objects necessary for solving puzzles. Eurogamer pointed out that the game's reliance on darkness could mask vital parts of the environment, making navigation challenging for players. IGN also mentioned that while the game had potential with its puzzle design, it struggled with pacing and could feel slow at times. Despite its flaws, Project Eden has been recognized for its unique approach to gameplay and its emphasis on team-based mechanics. The game allows for both single-player and multiplayer modes, where players can cooperate or compete against each other. It has garnered a modest following over the years, particularly among fans of cooperative puzzle games.
Every dewy, clean-cut GI fresh out of military academy. It's the most important thing you're going to learn out here in the field, so listen up. Ready? Here it is.
Project Snowblind, 2005. Initially conceived as a spin-off of the Deus Ex series, the game follows Nathan Frost, a soldier augmented with advanced nanotechnology after being critically injured during a mission. Set in a dystopian future, Frost must combat a militant regime known as the Republic, led by the rogue General Yan Lo, who plans to unleash EMP bombs on major cities worldwide. The gameplay features a combination of traditional shooting mechanics and unique abilities granted by Frost's nanotech enhancements. Players can utilize various weapons and gadgets, such as cloaking technology, time-slowing abilities, and hacking tools to manipulate enemy defenses. The game emphasizes combat and action over exploration, with levels designed to be linear but allowing for multiple approaches to encounters. Reminiscent of the Deus Ex series' emphasis on player choice, its origins as a Deus Ex spin-off were acknowledged during development. However, the decision to distance it from the franchise ultimately resulted in a game that, while enjoyable, lacked the depth associated with its predecessor. This transition allowed Crystal Dynamics to create a title that focused more on action than on the intricate storytelling and role-playing elements that defined the Deus Ex series.
Move it! Move it! Move it! Come on! Go!
PSYOPs, The Mindgate Conspiracy, 2004. This third-person action-adventure game centers around Nick Scryer, an amnesiac Psi operative who possesses various psychic abilities. As he regains his powers, Nick must infiltrate a terrorist organization known as the Movement, which is led by a rogue general intent on unleashing chaos through mind control and other nefarious means. The gameplay combines traditional shooting mechanics with unique psychic powers such as telekinesis, pyrokinesis, and mind control. Players can manipulate the environment and enemies in creative ways, using their powers to solve puzzles and overcome obstacles. The game's physics engine allows for dynamic interactions, where players can lift objects to throw at enemies or set them on fire, creating a satisfying combat experience. Critics praised the innovative use of psychic abilities, noting that they added depth to the gameplay and encouraged experimentation. PSYOPs received generally positive reviews upon its release, holding a Metacritic score of 77 out of 100. Some described it as a solid action game with some great ideas, emphasizing the fun derived from using psychic powers in combat situations. However, some reviews pointed out that the game's story felt cliched and that certain gameplay elements could become repetitive over time. Radiata Stories, 2005. Radiata Stories is an action role-playing game developed by Tri-Ace and published by Square Enix for the PlayStation 2. The game follows the story of Jack Russell, a young man aspiring to become a knight. Set in the vibrant world of Radiata, players navigate a narrative filled with humor, adventure, and conflict between humans and non-human races. The gameplay emphasizes a persistent world where non-player characters have their own lives, jobs, and schedules, influenced by a day-night cycle. This system allows players to interact with over 177 recruitable characters, each with unique personalities and storylines. Players can kick objects and NPCs to discover items or provoke duels, adding a layer of interactivity to the gameplay. The combat system is real-time and allows players to switch between characters during battles, although some critics noted that it could feel simplistic compared to other RPGs of the time. The storyline begins with Jack joining the Knights of Radiata under Captain Gans Rothschild. The story takes a turn when Jack's brigade is attacked by Blood Orcs, resulting in his companion Ridley being severely injured. As the plot unfolds, Jack must navigate the complexities of his relationships and the ongoing conflict between humans and elves. This action RPG is a must-play as an underrated PS2 gem. Red Dead Revolver, 2004. Next up, we have a game that marked the first entry in the Red Dead series and serves as a homage to classic Western films and themes. The game follows the story of Red Harlow, a bounty hunter seeking revenge for his parents' murder while navigating the treacherous landscapes of the American frontier. The gameplay features a mix of gunplay and melee combat, with players utilizing a variety of weapons such as revolvers, rifles, and dynamite. One of the notable mechanics introduced in the game is the Deadeye system, which allows players to slow down time during gunfights, enabling them to target multiple enemies with precision. This mechanic adds a strategic layer to combat, making shootouts feel more cinematic and engaging. Upon its release, Red Dead Revolver received generally positive reviews from critics. It was praised for its atmospheric presentation, which effectively captured the gritty essence of the Wild West. The game's visuals were noted for their detail, and the soundtrack featured music reminiscent of classic spaghetti westerns, enhancing the overall experience. While the game had strong moments, it occasionally felt unpolished in execution. Despite these criticisms, Red Dead Revolver laid the groundwork for its successor, Red Dead Redemption, which would go on to achieve critical and commercial success. The game has since gained a cult following among fans of the genre and is often remembered for its unique take on Western storytelling.
Attending a performance at the No Playhouse. You must assassinate him.
Red Ninja End of Honor, 2005. This action-adventure game developed by Koei and published by Sierra Entertainment is set in 16th century Japan during the Sengoku period. The game follows Kurenai, a young ninja seeking revenge for her father's murder at the hands of the Black Lizard clan. After witnessing the brutal execution of her father, Kurenai is rescued by a kunoichi named Chiom, who trains her in the ways of the ninja and equips her with a weapon called the Tetsugen. The gameplay features a blend of stealth and action mechanics, allowing players to navigate levels using Kurenai's agility and acrobatic skills. Players can engage in direct combat or utilize stealth tactics to eliminate enemies quietly. The Tetsugen, a weighted weapon on a wire, allows for creative combat options, such as ensnaring enemies or performing stealth kills from a distance. While the concept was intriguing, the execution suffered from various gameplay issues, including clunky controls and camera problems that made navigation frustrating. The voice acting was also a point of contention. Some performances were described as lacking depth, which detracted from the overall immersion. GameSpot remarked that Red Ninja just never manages to pull itself from action game mediocrity, highlighting its lack of polish and engaging gameplay mechanics. This next one is a rail shooter and music video game developed by United Game Artists and published by Sega for the Dreamcast and PlayStation 2. The game is renowned for its audio-visual elements, where players navigate a futuristic computer network known as the K Project to eradicate viruses and awaken an artificial intelligence named Eden. The story unfolds without dialogue, relying on visual storytelling to convey the player's journey through cyberspace. Players control a hacker who moves along set tracks, firing at enemies to create musical notes that contribute to the game's dynamic soundtrack. Each shot and action taken in the game produces sounds that sync with the background music, creating a harmonious experience that evolves as players progress through different levels. People have praised this integration of music and gameplay, describing it as a groundbreaking approach to interactive entertainment. IGN noted that Rez envelops the player like little else ever has, emphasizing how the game's design immerses players in a sensory experience that combines sight, sound, and touch. This artistic direction was influenced by the works of abstract painter Wassily Kandinsky, aiming to create a synesthetic experience where players could feel the music as they played. Road Trip Adventure, 2002. This unique racing RPG developed by E-Game features a whimsical world inhabited by sentient cars, where players take on the role of a customizable vehicle, embarking on a quest to win the World Grand Prix and become the president of the land. The gameplay combines elements of racing and adventure, allowing players to explore an open world filled with various towns, collectibles, and quirky characters. Players can engage in races against other vehicles, complete side quests, and upgrade their cars with parts collected throughout their journey. The game features a day-night cycle and a dynamic environment that encourages exploration, as players can drive through diverse landscapes including deserts, forests, and urban areas. The ability to customize vehicles with different parts adds depth to the gameplay, enabling players to tailor their cars to suit their racing style. Despite its appeal, the driving mechanics could feel slow compared to other racing games, which might deter players looking for fast-paced action. The game's narrative revolves around the player's journey to compete in the World Grand Prix, where they must defeat various rivals to claim victory. Along the way, players can build their own town, referred to as My City, by recruiting NPCs they meet during their travels. This feature adds an additional layer of gameplay, as players must manage and upgrade their town while progressing through the main story.
Four here, all clear, over.
One here, all clear.
Rogue Operations, 2003. This stealth-based action-adventure follows the story of Nikki Connors, an ex-Green Beret whose family is brutally murdered by a terrorist organization known as Omega-19. Driven by revenge, Nikki joins a counter-terrorism group called Phoenix to take down the organization responsible for her loss. The gameplay emphasizes stealth mechanics, allowing players to navigate levels undetected while utilizing a variety of gadgets and weapons. Players can hide in shadows, use environmental objects for cover, and perform stealth kills on enemies. The game features 8 action-packed missions set in diverse environments, challenging players to complete objectives without raising alarms. While the stealth elements were engaging, the game struggled with control issues and inconsistent enemy AI, leading to frustrating moments when players were detected despite careful planning. Some described it as lacking the polish of more established titles in the genre like Metal Gear Solid and Splinter Cell, but noted that it still offered enjoyable stealth gameplay and a compelling storyline centered around revenge and personal loss. The game's narrative and character development were seen as highlights, with some reviewers appreciating Nikki's journey from tragedy to empowerment. Rule of Rose, 2006. This is a survival horror video game developed by Punchline, which is set in the 1930s England. The game follows the story of Jennifer, a 19-year-old orphan who finds herself trapped in a nightmarish world ruled by a group of sadistic children known as the Red Crayon Aristocrats. The story explores themes of childhood trauma, bullying, and the complexities of power dynamics among children. The gameplay primarily revolves around exploration and puzzle solving, with combat taking a backseat to the psychological horror elements. Players control Jennifer as she navigates through various environments, collecting items and avoiding enemies, including grotesque creatures that embody her fears. Combat is largely melee-based, with players using improvised weapons like kitchen knives and pipes. The game's visual presentation has been praised for its artistic style, featuring detailed character models and atmospheric environments that contribute to its eerie tone. The use of a grainy film effect enhances the creepy atmosphere, making it feel like a twisted fairy tale. GameSpot described Rule of Rose as having a good look to it, with cinematic cutscenes that depict unsettling rituals performed by the aristocrats. The soundtrack, composed by Yutaka Minobe, adds to the haunting ambience, further immersing players in Jennifer's nightmarish journey. The game faced significant controversy upon release, particularly in Europe, where it was banned in several countries due to misconceptions about its content related to violence against children. Rumble Racing, 2001. Rumble Racing, the arcade-style racing video game developed by EA Redwood Shores, draws inspiration from NASCAR Rumble and features traditional racing mechanics with combat elements, allowing players to engage in high-speed races while utilizing power-ups and performing stunts. Players can choose from a variety of vehicles, and the game includes 15 racetracks that players can unlock as they progress through the championship mode, where they compete in a series of races to win 5 championship cups. A notable feature is the trick system, where players can perform stunts during races to gain speed boosts, encouraging a dynamic gameplay style that rewards skillful maneuvers. The game also incorporates shortcuts and power-ups scattered throughout the tracks. Despite the underrated factor, the game's vibrant graphics and entertaining gameplay helped it stand out in the crowded racing genre.
My name is Rygar, a warrior of Argus who has nothing left but the will to fight. I have established myself as a mighty gladiator. I have no family.
Rygar, The Legendary Adventure, 2002. This is an action-adventure game developed by Tecmo, and it serves as a reimagining of the classic Rygar franchise. Originally released in arcades and on the Nintendo Entertainment System, the game follows Rygar, a heroic warrior armed with a powerful weapon called the Disc Armor, as he embarks on a quest to rescue Princess Harmonia from the clutches of the evil Titans. The gameplay features hack-and-slash combat, platforming, and puzzle-solving elements. Players navigate through various environments, battling enemies and bosses while utilizing Rygar's abilities. The disc armor can be thrown and used to perform various attacks, allowing for a dynamic combat experience. The game incorporates a fixed camera system, which some players found frustrating due to its occasional awkward angles that hindered navigation and combat. The storyline has been described as somewhat cliched, revolving around a traditional quest to save a princess. While the story had potential, it often relied on exposition rather than engaging storytelling techniques. But to many, it is often regarded as an underrated title within the action-adventure genre, especially for fans of classic gaming. Shadow Hearts, 2001. This is a role-playing video game developed by Saknoth, is notable for its horror, fantasy, and historical elements set in an alternate version of the early 20th century. The game follows the journey of Yuri Hyuga, a young man with the ability to transform into monsters, as he seeks to confront a malevolent force known as the Dark One, while navigating a world filled with supernatural threats. The gameplay features a turn-based combat system that incorporates a mechanic known as the Judgment Ring. This system requires players to hit targets on a rotating ring to execute attacks effectively, adding an element of timing and skill to traditional turn-based battles. Players have praised this mechanic for its innovation, although some noted that it could be frustrating at times due to its randomness and difficulty in execution. The game also includes character progression through experience points and a variety of skills that can be learned, allowing for customization of party members. The characters are generally well received, with Famitsu highlighting their rich personalities. Players described the plot as comical, scary, and exciting, praising the world design and character interactions, and it's worth trying out. Shadow Hearts, Covenant, 2004. Shadow Hearts. Covenant serves as a direct sequel to the original Shadow Hearts, continuing the story of Yuri Hyuga, a young man with the ability to fuse with demons. Set against the backdrop of World War I, the game explores themes of love, loss, and personal sacrifice, while introducing new characters and expanding on the existing lore. The gameplay builds upon its predecessor's mechanics, featuring the unique Judgment Ring system that requires players to hit targets on a rotating ring to execute attacks and use items. The sequel enhances this system by allowing for greater customization of the Judgment Ring, including different ring types and modifications that affect gameplay dynamics. Players praised this evolution of the combat system as one of the game's standout features, with RPG fans stating it offers one of the most well-realized RPG battle mechanics in the genre. The game introduces several new characters, including Karin, who adds complexity to Yuri's journey. The story is intertwined with real historical events and figures, such as Rasputin and various European locales like Paris and Wales, providing an engaging backdrop for the supernatural elements of the plot. However, some reviewers pointed out that players unfamiliar with the first game might find certain plot elements confusing or difficult to follow. Shadow of Memories, Shadow of Destiny, 2001. This game follows the story of Aiki Kush, a young man who is murdered shortly after the game begins. However, he is given a second chance at life by a mysterious character named Homunculus, who provides him with a device called the Digipad that allows him to travel back in time to prevent his own death. The gameplay revolves around time travel, where players navigate through various time periods in the fictional German town of Lebensraum. Each time period presents different challenges and choices that affect the outcomes of the story. Players must interact with NPCs, solve puzzles, and make decisions that will ultimately determine Ike's fate. The game features multiple endings based on the player's choices, encouraging replayability as players explore different narrative paths and consequences of their actions. The game's narrative is often described as one of its strongest aspects, with many calling it one of the deepest and most engaging stories ever told through a video game. But while the premise was intriguing, the execution sometimes fell short due to clunky controls and a lack of meaningful interaction with the environment.
As the power struggle ensued in the political arena, the quality of Roman life declined. The empire was racked by chaos.
Shadow of Rome, 2005. This is an action-adventure game developed by Capcom, which is set in the tumultuous period following the assassination of Julius Caesar, allowing players to experience the political intrigue and brutality of ancient Rome. Players control two protagonists, Agrippa, a gladiator seeking to rescue his father, and Octavians, a cunning strategist navigating the treacherous political landscape. The combat system allows for a mix of light and heavy attacks, blocks, and counters, providing an engaging experience that captures the intensity of gladiatorial fights. On the other hand, Octavian's gameplay emphasizes stealth mechanics. Players must navigate through enemy territory without being detected, utilizing disguises and distractions to complete objectives. This duality in gameplay styles keeps the experience fresh and dynamic. The story begins with Caesar's assassination on March 15th, 44 BC, setting off a chain of events that plunge Rome into chaos. Agrippa learns of his father's impending execution and must fight his way through the gladiatorial tournament to gain access to the political machinations behind Caesar's murder. Meanwhile, Octavians investigates the conspiracy surrounding Caesar's death, leading to encounters with historical figures such as Brutus and Cassius. It's worth checking out if you're a history buff. Shin Megami Tensei Digital Devil Saga 2005. This next game is a role-playing game developed by Atlus and is part of the Shin Megami Tensei series. The game is set in a post-apocalyptic world known as the Junkyard, where factions of humans known as Warriors of Purgatory possess the ability to transform into demons. The story follows Surf, the main guy, and his companions, and the gameplay features a turn-based combat system similar to previous entries in the Shin Megami Tensei series, with an emphasis on strategic use of skills and elemental affinities. Players can customize their characters' abilities through a skill system that allows them to learn and equip various techniques acquired from defeated enemies. A notable aspect of Digital Devil Saga is its press turn battle system, which rewards players for exploiting enemy weaknesses, allowing for additional turns when successful. The storyline explores deep themes such as hunger, desire, and the struggle for self-identity. Characters evolve throughout the story, grappling with their pasts and the nature of their transformations into demons. Players have praised its mature themes and character development, with many noting that it presents one of the finest RPGs on the PlayStation 2 due to its engaging plot and character arcs. Shin Megami Tensei Nocturne 2004. Set in a post-apocalyptic Tokyo, this game follows a high school student who is transformed into a half-demon known as the Demi-Fiend, after an apocalyptic event called the Conception reshapes the world into a chaotic realm known as the Vortex World. The story explores themes of existentialism, morality, and personal identity as players navigate through a world filled with demons and other survivors, each representing different philosophies and ideals. Players can recruit and fuse demons to create more powerful allies, adding depth to character customization and party dynamics. The game also features labyrinthine dungeons that require exploration and puzzle-solving skills, enhancing the overall experience. Many described it as one of the best RPGs on the PlayStation 2, but it still did not see the light of fame it deserved. Shinobido Way of the Ninja 2005. This game places players in the role of Go, an amnesiac ninja who awakens in a mysterious land and must navigate a world filled with political intrigue and conflict among three feudal lords. The story revolves around Go's quest to recover his lost memories while engaging in various missions that often involve stealth, assassination, and espionage. Players can choose to engage enemies directly or use stealth tactics to avoid detection, which is a hallmark of the ninja genre. The game features an open-ended structure, enabling players to select missions from a hub area and choose how they want to complete them. Players have noted that while the game offers interesting mechanics, it suffers from clunky controls and a lack of variety in mission design, leading to repetitive gameplay. While some praised its art style and character designs, others felt that the graphics were not up to par with other titles released during the PlayStation 2 era. But regardless, that's what we're here for today, shedding some light on games that went below the radar. Silent Hill 4: The Room, 2004. The Room is the fourth installment in the Silent Hill series and introduces Henry Townshend, who finds himself trapped in his apartment after a series of bizarre events. The game begins with Henry discovering a mysterious hole in his bathroom wall that serves as a portal to various nightmarish locations, each filled with grotesque enemies and psychological horror. Players must navigate through different environments, including an abandoned subway and eerie forests, while managing limited resources and combat against relentless foes. The introduction of the apartment as a central hub allows players to return to a seemingly safe space, which gradually deteriorates as the story progresses, enhancing the sense of dread and claustrophobia. While the game maintains the series' trademark psychological horror elements, it diverges from previous titles by incorporating more action-oriented gameplay and less emphasis on combat mechanics. Narratively, The Room delves into themes of isolation, trauma, and the impact of past actions. The antagonist, Walter Sullivan, adds depth to the story with his disturbing backstory that intertwines with Henry's experiences. However, some reviews have criticised the plot for being convoluted and difficult to follow, particularly for players unfamiliar with prior entries in the series. Despite this, many fans appreciate the game's darker tone and its exploration of complex psychological themes. Sly Cooper and The Thievius Raccoonus, 2002. This is a platforming video game developed by Sucker Punch Productions and introduces players to Sly Cooper, a master thief raccoon from a long line of thieves who embarks on a mission to recover the stolen pages of his family's book, The Thievius Raccoonus. This book contains the secret techniques of his ancestors, which were taken by the Fiendish Five, a group of villains responsible for the murder of Sly's parents. Players can perform various acrobatic moves such as jumping, climbing, and sneaking to outsmart enemies. The game features a vibrant art style characterized by cel-shaded graphics that enhance its cartoonish aesthetic. Players have praised the game's engaging level design and fluid controls, making it accessible for both children and adults alike. IGN noted that Sly is incredibly responsive, highlighting the ease of learning the game's mechanics while still providing depth for more experienced players. However, some criticisms were directed at the game's length and perceived ease, with some reviewers noting that it could be completed relatively quickly. Sly Cooper and The Thievius Raccoonus is considered a classic in the platforming genre and has spawned several sequels and spin-offs. SOS: The Final Escape, Disaster Report 2002. Originally known as Disaster Report in Japan, this is a survival action-adventure game which places players in the role of Keith Helm, a newspaper reporter who finds himself trapped on Stiver Island during a catastrophic earthquake. As the island begins to collapse, players must navigate through the chaos, avoid falling debris, and uncover the truth behind the disaster. The gameplay focuses on survival mechanics, requiring players to manage health and hydration while interacting with various characters and environments. Players can collect items, build tools, and make decisions that impact their survival. The game features a day-night cycle and multiple endings based on player choices, adding replayability to the experience. Critics have praised the game's innovative premise and its ability to create tension through environmental hazards, although some noted that the controls could be clunky and the graphics dated compared to other titles of its time. Many remarked on its potential, but pointed out that it ultimately fell short due to technical limitations and repetitive gameplay elements. Despite its flaws, SOS: The Final Escape has developed a cult following among fans of survival games.
Led by the Emperor Tiberius, mercilessly spread towards our land. We watched helplessly as Athens fell, and the rest of Greece was...
Spartan: Total Warrior 2005. Set in an alternate historical timeline, the game follows a nameless Spartan warrior who fights to defend his homeland against the invading Roman Empire. The plot intertwines elements of mythology with historical fiction, featuring gods and legendary creatures alongside human adversaries. The gameplay primarily focuses on hack-and-slash combat, allowing players to engage in large-scale battles against hordes of enemies. Players can perform a variety of attacks, including basic strikes, shield bashes, and powerful rage attacks that can devastate multiple foes at once. The game incorporates a rage meter that fills as players land hits, enabling them to unleash devastating special moves. Missions often require players to complete specific objectives beyond mere combat, such as protecting allies or executing strategic maneuvers. If you're interested in a game that offers visceral combat set against the backdrop of ancient warfare, Spartan: Total Warrior is worth exploring. Stretch Panic 2001. The game follows the story of Linda, a young girl who possesses the unique ability to manipulate objects and enemies using a magical scarf. This scarf allows her to pinch, stretch, and bend various elements within the game's whimsical environments as she battles her evil sisters, who have transformed into monstrous forms. The gameplay is characterized by its innovative mechanics that revolve around Linda's powers. Players navigate through colorful levels filled with puzzles and enemies, utilizing the scarf to interact with the environment creatively. The game features a mix of platforming and combat, where players must defeat bizarre foes while solving various challenges. While the concept is intriguing, the execution can feel chaotic and sometimes frustrating due to the game's unconventional design choices. The character designs are eccentric and imaginative, reflecting the game's overall whimsical design. If you're looking for an unconventional experience that mixes action with puzzle solving in a colorful world, Stretch Panic is definitely worth checking out. Suikoden 5 2006. Suikoden 5 is a role-playing game developed by Konami and serves as the fifth main installment in the Suikoden series. The game is set in the Queendom of Falena, a matriarchal society facing political turmoil and civil war. Players assume the role of the protagonist, the Prince of Falena, who must deal with complex political landscapes while gathering allies to confront a rebellious faction, threatening the stability of the realm. The gameplay retains the series' signature turn-based combat system, allowing players to form parties of up to 6 characters, each with unique abilities and skills. The game also emphasizes character development through its extensive cast of over 100 recruitable characters, known as the 108 Stars of Destiny, each contributing to the overarching narrative. The game's plot is intricately woven, with numerous twists that keep players invested throughout their journey. Players highlighted it as one of the best RPGs on the PlayStation 2, and it received generally favorable reviews, holding a Metacritic score of 85 out of 100.
I am Joseph of Suran, Joseph of Masad, farmer, cotter, plowman, Sahugani, summoner.
Summoner 2000. Set in a fantasy world, the game follows Joseph, a young man who discovers his ability to summon powerful creatures known as summons. After witnessing the destruction of his hometown due to his powers, he embarks on a quest to understand his abilities and confront the forces of evil threatening the realm. The gameplay features a hybrid combat system that combines real-time and turn-based mechanics. Players can engage in battles using both melee attacks and magical abilities, with a unique chain attack system that allows for extended combos when executed correctly. This innovative approach to combat was praised for adding depth and strategy to encounters. However, some noted that the game's camera controls could be problematic, leading to frustrating moments during battles and exploration. Summoner remains an interesting title in the RPG genre for players seeking a blend of action and story-driven gameplay. The Punisher, 2005. The Punisher is a third-person shooter video game developed by Volition, which is based on the Marvel Comics character, Frank Castle. The game follows the vigilante's quest for revenge against the criminal underworld that murdered his family. The narrative intertwines elements from the comics and the 2004 film adaptation, featuring a storyline that allows players to engage in brutal combat against various factions, including the Mafia and Yakuza. Gameplay centers around action-packed shooting mechanics, combined with unique interrogation sequences. Players can utilize a wide array of weapons, including firearms and melee options, to eliminate enemies. A notable feature is the ability to interrogate captured foes using various methods, such as gun intimidation or environmental kills. The game also includes a rage mode, granting players temporary invincibility and enhanced abilities during combat. The Punisher received mixed reviews, while many appreciated its adherence to the source material and its engaging action sequences. Others criticized its linear level design and occasional technical issues. Some described it as a solid action game, but acknowledged that it might not appeal to all players due to its extreme violence and dark themes. The game also featured cameos from other Marvel characters, such as Iron Man and Nick Fury, enriching its connection to the broader Marvel universe. The Suffering, 2004, a psychological horror video game. The story centers on Torque, a death row inmate who finds himself trapped in Abbott State Penitentiary on Carnot Island after a catastrophic earthquake releases supernatural entities. As Torque navigates the prison, he must confront both external horrors and his own traumatic past, particularly the violent murder of his wife and children, an event he cannot fully remember. The gameplay combines third-person shooting mechanics with survival horror elements. Players explore the dark, atmospheric environments of the prison while battling grotesque creatures that embody Torque's inner demons. The game features a morality system that influences the narrative outcome. Players can choose to help or harm other characters they encounter, leading to multiple endings based on their decisions. Critics have praised this system for adding depth to the story, as it reflects Torque's struggle between his violent impulses and his desire for redemption. The game's sound design plays a significant role in creating tension, with haunting soundscapes and effective voice acting that enhance the horror atmosphere. The creature designs are particularly notable, with each enemy representing different aspects of Torque's guilt and fear. Overall, The Suffering is recognized as a compelling entry in survival horror, offering a mix of action and psychological depth that resonates with players. The Thing, 2002. The Thing is a survival horror video game, which is based on John Carpenter's iconic 1982 film. The game serves as a sequel to the movie, continuing the story of a rescue team sent to investigate the aftermath of the events at an Antarctic research station. Players assume the role of Captain Blake, who must navigate through a facility overrun by a parasitic alien that can perfectly imitate its victims. The gameplay combines third-person shooting mechanics with squad-based elements. Players manage a team of NPCs who can become infected by the alien organism, leading to paranoia and distrust within the group. The game features an innovative trust-fear system, where players must maintain their teammates' morale by providing weapons and healing them after encounters. If trust is lost, NPCs may become hostile or refuse to follow orders, adding a layer of tension to the gameplay. Players praised this mechanic for its ability to create suspense, although some noted inconsistencies in how trust was managed throughout the game. The sound design effectively enhances the horror experience, with eerie soundscapes and voice acting that contribute to the game's tension. This one is definitely worth checking out if you loved the movie. The Warriors, 2005. Based on the cult classic 1979 film of the same name, the game expands on the movie's plot, allowing players to experience the rise of the Warriors gang as they navigate the treacherous streets of New York City. The gameplay features a mix of beat-em-up mechanics and open-world exploration. Players control various members of the Warriors as they engage in combat with rival gangs, complete missions, and uncover the story behind their journey home after being framed for a murder at a gang summit. Graphically, The Warriors captures the gritty aesthetic of the film with detailed character models and richly designed environments that reflect the diverse neighborhoods of New York City. Its combination of action-packed gameplay and engaging storytelling makes it a must-play for fans of both the movie and action-adventure games. Urban Chaos: Riot Response, 2006. Developed by Rocksteady Studios, this game is set in a fictional city under siege by a violent gang known as the Burners. Players take on the role of Nick Mason, a member of a newly formed special police force tasked with restoring order. The game combines traditional shooting mechanics with elements of strategy and teamwork, as players must protect civilians and coordinate with various emergency services. The gameplay features a variety of missions that require players to engage in combat, rescue hostages, and deal with environmental hazards such as fires and explosions. Players can use all kinds of weapons, including firearms and non-lethal options like stun guns, alongside a riot shield that can block incoming attacks. This shield mechanic allows players to deflect bullets while aiming for headshots. Players praised the game for its solid controls and engaging combat, noting that the AI of supporting characters, such as firefighters and medics, effectively enhances gameplay by providing assistance during missions. Beautiful Joe 2, 2004. This is a side-scrolling action game developed by Clover Studio, which serves as a sequel to the critically acclaimed Beautiful Joe, and the game continues the story of Joe and his girlfriend Sylvia as they battle against the villainous Black Emperor and his minions. The narrative, while not groundbreaking, retains the series' trademark humour and cinematic flair, with players navigating through levels inspired by various film genres. The gameplay builds upon the mechanics established in the first game, introducing new VFX powers and allowing players to switch between Joe and Sylvia. Each character has abilities. For example, Sylvia can utilize a new VFX power called Replay, which allows her to repeat attacks on enemies. The action remains fast-paced, with a focus on stylish combos and creative use of powers to defeat enemies and solve challenges. However, some reviews noted that while the graphics are appealing, they do not significantly differ from the original game. Some people described it as a solid sequel that offers more of what fans loved about the original, but noted that it may not reach the same heights. War of the Monsters, 2003. This game is set in a fictional 1950s world where players control giant monsters inspired by classic B-movie creatures such as Godzilla and King Kong, as they battle each other across destructible urban environments. The gameplay focuses on both melee and ranged combat, allowing players to execute a variety of attacks, including punches, kicks, and special moves unique to each monster. Players can also interact with the environment by picking up objects like cars and buildings to use as weapons. The game features several modes, including a single-player adventure mode where players face off against AI-controlled monsters in a series of challenges, as well as multiplayer modes for local competitive play. The game's fun mechanics and the satisfaction derived from smashing through destructible environments captures the joy of destruction better than many other titles in the genre. Wild Arms 3. It is the third installment in the Wild Arms series and is set in the desert world of Filgaia, where players follow the journey of 4 protagonists: Virginia Maxwell, Jet Enduro, Clive Winslet, and Gallows Carradine. The story revolves around their quest to stop a group of antagonists known as the Prophets, who seek to revive an ancient evil. The gameplay retains the series' signature blend of turn-based combat and puzzle-solving mechanics. Players utilize a unique system involving arms, which are upgradable firearms that serve as primary weapons for each character. The game introduces a new crossfire mechanic that enhances combat dynamics, allowing players to execute combo attacks during battles. Additionally, each character possesses specific tools that are essential for solving puzzles in dungeons, requiring players to switch between characters strategically to progress. The cel-shaded graphics were noted for their vibrant aesthetic, which contributed to the game's overall charm and makes it a perfect weekend session. Zone of the Enders, 2001. Lastly, we have a mecha-based action game developed by Konami, which follows the story of Leo Stenbuck, a young boy who becomes embroiled in a conflict between Earth and a space faction known as Bahram. After discovering the powerful orbital frame known as Jehuti, Leo must pilot it to protect his colony from Bahram's forces and uncover the truth behind the war. The gameplay features fast-paced combat that allows players to engage in battles against various enemies using melee attacks, ranged weapons, and special abilities unique to Jehuti. The combat system is designed to be intuitive, enabling players to execute combos and dodge attacks fluidly. Critics lauded the game's combat mechanics for their smoothness and responsiveness, although some noted that it could become repetitive due to limited enemy variety and simplistic attack patterns. The game features cinematic cutscenes that enhance its storytelling, making it a beautiful game to look at. But it is criticised for its bare-bones plot that left much to be desired in terms of character development. And there you have it, folks, a whirlwind tour through 100 of the most criminally underrated PS2 games that deserve way more love than they've ever gotten. From hidden gems that pushed the boundaries of storytelling to quirky titles that oozed charm, the PS2 was the console for discovering treasures that flew under the radar. If you're revisiting these classics or trying them for the first time, there's something magical about dusting off this retro legend and firing up games that still hold up today. So, what do you think? Did we hit the nail on the head, or are there more hidden bangers we missed? Drop your favourite underrated PS2 games in the comments below, because sharing is caring, especially when it comes to overlooked masterpieces. And hey, if you enjoyed this nostalgia-packed ride, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe for more gaming deep dives, and smash that bell icon to stay in the loop. The PS2 may be a retro console, but its legacy is timeless. Stay awesome and keep gaming, legends.